Now, every time I've ever restored a motorcycle for myself or for anybody, what has always happened, the one thing I can predict, it's going to be unpredictable. It starts out being one thing. You make sketches, you make drawings, you buy paint, you do Bondo work, you find parts on eBay, you replace things. But in the end, it's always unpredictable. I think that's part of what makes it exciting. And every bike is just a little bit different. And you know what happens if you have like a Jay Leno garage? A NASCAR floor on in your garage, whatever. What happens is you run into a problem, you just call the mechanic and say, okay, do that. Well, the unfortunate thing in my garage, I can't do that. I usually have to just figure it out myself or get Luciano or Vince or somebody to help me along the way. And that is one of the charming parts of doing a motorcycle restoration. And the saying we always used in modeling is, if you're having an adventure and you know where you're going, it's not really an adventure. And that's true of motorcycling too. Now today I'm hoping if I get through today, that by the end of the day I'm going to be able to pull those lower fairing parts off and get started on getting them into very high gloss black and getting the gold spears, arrowheads, whatever you want to call it, put on. I'm hoping that that's how it's going to be. The only problem is we're in the holiday part of the year. We're having company on a regular basis, and what really happens is in the middle of the days, usually Karen will have some errand for me to do or some honey-do list or whatever. But that's all part of why it's exciting to work on motorcycles. It's like watching a movie and you can't see the ending. Well, in our case, it'll probably be months before we see the ending, but we will see the ending, hopefully. And in my unique case, I was just never able to find the fountain of youth. I looked for it. I didn't find it. I couldn't even find the fountain of middle age. But these motorcycles give me a reason to wake up in the morning, as well as my family and as well as my friends. I consider these my children. But the cold weather is already upon us, and the riding season is, well, we may get a couple more rides in, but I'm not holding my breath about it either. Because what's coming up for me is probably the most exciting time of the year. Very soon we're going to have major parts of that motorcycle downstairs to be worked on, and be getting more feedback from our friends and working with John Pothier. It's an exciting time of year for me, and what's really exciting, and I don't really underestimate it, Karen is getting ready for the holiday season, and that requires an awful lot of honey-do stuff, and I look forward to doing every one of those chores. And in our family, the holiday season from Thanksgiving to Christmas is a very special time. My son Craig from Denver is going to be visiting us for a while. Haven't seen him in a few years. And he hasn't seen the motorcycles in a few years. So, Craig, we're looking forward to your visit. And I haven't seen Luciano's puppy yet. Luciano has a new puppy. And maybe one day this week we'll get up to his house and get to meet the puppy. But right now, we got to have our coffee. It's one of the high points of my morning, having that cup of very special coffee with windy cream. And once the coffee kicks in, I try to figure out what I want to do and in what sequence I want to do it. Since it's still really cold out there, I like to look at the work from the day before. That part is really ready to put back on a motorcycle. I've got to do some work sanding that out and getting it primed and painted. But the thing that's going to change today at some point in the day, and maybe I'll do it first, I want to get Turbo Steve's tank backmasted. We moved the white stripe up about 1/8 of an inch, and so I'm going to have to take the original stripe that Steve put on, backmask, re-backmask the top and the bottom, so the only thing that's showing is the stripe, airbrush the stripe in, and then he'll be ready, and he said maybe he can come over this week. He'll be ready to put the decals on, and then we can put the clear on, and maybe get it on before we get a snowstorm or something. And I am absolutely dying to see this. The first of the arrows, and we have patterns for all the arrows, the spears as John calls them. And we've gone through all our concept sketches. We've changed it a million times. We've made logos. John has some some new stuff we're going to test for doing logos. I'll be looking forward to that probably in the next week or so. We've done a whole lot of testing with the gold paint, and actually John went and bought some paint for his modeling projects from this same company, and I wanted to put them up on a video. This came from, it's Vivid. This is the pigment, and we do have a video of what we did for making this color gold, and there's enough there to paint a trailer truck. So we're really, the building season is upon us. And that first part that came off of the assembly line, I'm telling you, the finish on this, I know you don't see it on the video, but it really, that color, when the whole, as many parts as I can do of the motorcycle have that level of finish on it, it's going to be pretty spectacular, I hope. And I always keep this picture right up here. I got this picture from Ray Straub, who has this is one of my original Yamahas. And we use this in Amor. I had 7 of them at one time. I don't have any anymore. I only have the one that RD that I have. But it was the black and the gold, the theme of it, about 10% of the bike gold, 90% black. This is what inspired me for this paint job. Now this may sound hokey, and you may get a kick out of this, but I always think one of the reasons for doing this, all these restorations, is someday my grandson is going to inherit my motorcycle collection, and I'm not sure that he's going to want to ride it or sell it and spend the money on Legos or what, but in the end I know at least he'll have something that some part of my life will get passed on to him. And I have things from my dad, who was in the this is him right here, the Ken Butler Thrill Show. I have his motorcycle license from whatever year that is, I don't know, 1939. And he has passed on some of the passion to me, and I hope I'll be able to pass the passion on to my grandson. And now the thing I have to do here is, the next step on this is I've got to pull off the back masking carefully, and the most important thing is I don't want to take STEVES tape stripe off. So what I ought to do, this may be a little confusing, but even though this has been in the house and it's warm in here, it's 65, 66 degrees, I don't want to take a chance that I'm going to take up any of this paint. This paint is relatively fresh. So the idea now, we have the new stripe is the blue tape. Then the idea now is to back mask using this edge of the tape, back mask the top of the tank, then come back mask this edge, leaving this in place to the last second, and then pull out that 1/4 inch stripe. And that's the new Turbo Steve, guaranteed to be in the right position stripe. And as labor intensive as that is, I wouldn't want to look at that for the next 20 years, or who knows how long we have to live, however long. Every time we're at a bike gathering and Turbo Steve would say, Wendy put the stripe in the wrong spot. He'll do it anyway. Anyway, I really do like correcting these things whenever possible. The earlier on you can correct them, the better. And the idea is to get it right on the edge if possible. Sometimes you got to do it 17 times to get it right on the edge. This is why I decided not to become a brain surgeon. This is more challenging. This really is challenging, by the way. Now here's one of these tips that's worth its weight in gold. You always notice I have a bunch of roll of paper towels. Some because I've used the paper towels, but some that I haven't used yet. But what happens with the paper towels, the reason they're good is you can put the tank in that position. You can put it in this position. You can jack one end of it up. It's like a universal mount. Now in doing a stripe like this, it looks like this would be a 2-minute job. Well, if you want to get it really accurate, just takes a little time. And these become the little I don't know what the right word would be, a little jig or whatever, just to hold it up. And a lot of times I find that I want to get the light a certain way, I want to turn it that way. Being able to move this in various directions, now I'm just thinking no matter how, yeah, you could make a NASCAR garage universal mount and with a ball joint and everything. And we used to have some very cool things to hold modeling parts in place while you paint them. But this is pretty Holcomb's razor. This is pretty simple stuff and it works pretty well. Now you can see what we've accomplished. We've laid out, and this tape, by removing that tape, we've used that tape to set these two pieces in place. This is the new turbo sieve stripe. Now, believe it or not, this does take a lot of time. You don't see it, but I've gone back and forth with this because I really want this to be accurate. And what happened is this didn't line up with exactly this little crease in the tank. And I'm very happy to make the change, of course, because we really want this to be as good as we can get it. And I think that's going to work out great. Now that's just, I got to do the other side, very similar, and then backmask everything, and we'll be ready to paint that stripe, and it'll be, Turbo Steve will be the happiest guy at the Javits Bike Show. Now, as I always try to do, and I know it gets redundant, but I still do it anyway, is to thank our late friend Walt Prey. He was very instrumental helping us figure out some of the tricks that a professional custom car painter for many years would know. And when we were modeling, we used every one of those tips to our advantage. Anyway, just backmasking this up here, I realized, you know, we basically are going to wind up spending a whole day doing this. But it doesn't matter, and there's a good point to be made, because once you find an error in something, this is a key thing to any, I guess any project, not even painting. Once you find something that you can make better, no matter what the price is, I mean, let's be honest, it's the middle of the winter, and you know, we're not riding every day or anything, giving up a day at the zoo or whatever. And even if we were, it's still worth having it right. So I really feel like, even though this is a lot of extra work, it adds a couple days to the project. In the end, this is a motorcycle I'm going to be seeing in the future of my life for X amount of time. And boy, that tinfoil just works so good. Now, I'm going to just roughly run a piece of sandpaper down it because there's just a little bit of line. And I'm hoping I can disguise that when I paint this. I want to finish this backmasking here because Karen, lovely Karen, has advised me that I will need to take her back to Papa Giuseppe's or Grandpa Giuseppe's or whatever. She has this beautiful gourmet food store. Uncle Giuseppe's is the name. We go there every day because there's so much good stuff. And the only other guy I know that goes there every day is Luciano. Okay, the turkey is ready to put in the oven. Got that nice and smooth. Doesn't look like we have anything exposed. And once I can get, I'll get at least three coats of white on that, because that is a white stripe. So what happens is by using the Iwata airbrush, I minimize the amount of overspray over it. The only downside, I got to keep filling up the little cup, but I want to get 3 full coats on this. So like every day here, especially around the holidays, it's very unpredictable. And Karen needs to go every day to Uncle Giuseppe's. We're going to take a break, run up to Uncle Giuseppe's, get some good food for the holidays, put this up by a heating vent, and when we come back, we can pull off all the mask. I know there's some spots I got to touch up, some red, and we'll just see if there's any other spot needs attention. And then Steve will be ready to come get the decals. Now we'll be shopping for great food while that's drying under a heating vent. You all ready to go to Uncle Giuseppe's? All right. And this is where Karen loves to go. We go here very often. Uncle Giuseppe's. Very cool store. Oh, look at that. Look at that provolone cheese. Eat your heart out, Luciano. Oh man, I can't wait to have a pepperoni sandwich. The Vermont Hero from Michelin. Wow. So here you go. Look at the size of this cheese. It's about 2 feet taller than I am. It's on its own A-frame like you're changing the engine in a car. Maybe I can get them to sponsor my channel. UncleGiuseppe.com. Sponsor Windy U. Look at these big strombolis. Whoa, big strombolis. Oh my God, Karen. Maybe we could have one for supper. What a great store. I love coming here, and we do come here often. Sometimes we see Luciano and Cindy shopping here. There you can watch them make fresh mozzarella cheese right here. Oh my gosh, what a store. So look, we get, of course you always get free samples of everything.
Free salami.
Free salami. It always tastes better when it's free, yeah. Oh, and of course, what do I have? Free salami. Oh, she's at the, I can't even say these words. Panini, pasta carita. Oh my God, do I get hungry here. This is more fun than going to Motorcycle Mall. I don't know what we're going to have for dessert tonight. I just can't imagine what would be for dessert. So Karen got me a free sample of a, what is this? Apple cider donuts. You know, we don't have to eat tonight. Here's what we need, more free samples of cheese. Oh my God, this place is unbelievable. Those free samples really do taste good. So I hope you enjoyed our little adventure, but we got to get back to, hey, and if you've never been up to this place, it's really cool. It's right on Route 17 in Ramsey. Very cool place. We got to get back to working on Steve's tank. Thought you'd enjoy a little diversion and how Karen and I spend our weekend days. So this is the best part of going on to Uncle Giuseppe's. You come home and you have a cup of coffee and windy cream, and oh my God, could life be better? I wanted to show a good little tip here. Got a little bit of overspray here, some 2000 grit paper. Now I don't want to sand that edge of the stripe. I got to be real careful here. I just want to pick that up with some 2000 grit. Anything that did spray over, that'll disappear. Now we have some touch-ups on this. on the other side. I know where Steve had just had a problem he sanded through. We'll straighten that out next. And this is what Steve did. He caught an edge here, and that's what happens when you're, well, you're prone to always run that edge. You always want to sand flat, sand here, but never sand the edge, and at the end go one swipe. But we can touch this up very easily. Now I'm just going to make a little paint mask here, so I'm going to try to airbrush this right here in the cellar. It should be no problem. We have plenty of touch-up paint. Airbrush is clean from this morning. I don't even need to get even with that line. And now I just need to touch this little spot right here. And that should be relatively easy since we have plenty of touch-up paint. Okay, now you may have noticed what I did. I sprayed into this and then brought it out over. Now the reason is, a lot of times the first time you hit an airbrush, there'll be some residue in the front or something left over from the last time you sprayed it. And that looks like we've got it. And that's what's beautiful about the little Iwata airbrush. Worth every penny. Now I know Steve is a very passionate guy about his motorcycles, as I think most of the guys that we hang with are. And they'd like to have them as perfect as possible. Well, there's just some little things. Now these are things you'd never even see. This is going to go under the seat. But there's no reason, as long as we have a few minutes here and we're trying to digest that Giuseppe's lunch. Boy, that is someplace. Unbelievable. It is really worth the trip. Now I'm doing this. Even the little things that you hardly see. I know this is under the seat, but you know what? It's a shame not to do them. Even little details like that just make it that much nicer. Now, I have no idea what Turbo Steve's schedule is, but I know he has the decals in-house to finish this job. And in the meantime, this has been a very intense day. But we've got that stripe moved up. It's going to change, I hope, the whole look of the motorcycle. And in Steve's case, I know he'll appreciate it. Now I know I am always impressed with somebody who has a passion for anything. They have a passion for golf, for tennis, for whatever. It's the passion that matters. And I know among my friends, most of them have a passion for motorcycling. And I hope today we've managed to make that a little more possible for Steve to have something he'll be passionate about for a long time to come. Anyway, he's going to connect with me to do the decals. I still have parts to work on my bike. Not today. It's been late, and I have a bunch of Uncle Giuseppe food to eat. It's the law. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for shopping at Uncle Giuseppe's. It is quite a place.